I was the person that everyone called when they needed help. The daughter who always said yes, the family member that could be counted on for everything, and the mom who never said no. I was everyone's go to person. If you're everyone's go to person, this episode just might save your life because being everybody's favorite person is actually a trauma response, and I'm about to explain why. I'm Kim Gross, and I'm the host of Masks Off for People Pleasers and Perfectionists. I'm so glad that you're here with me today. And if you're new to this channel, thank you so much for listening and tuning in. So, I used to wear my people pleasing mask like it was a badge of honor. Kim will do it. Kim never says no. And I thought I was just being kind and caring and a good person. In truth, I was actually terrified. And at the age of 37, I was diagnosed with a chronic illness. I was 37 years old and I felt like I was living in an 80-year-old body. I went from one doctor to another, one specialist after another. And each one would just say to me, of course you feel tired. Of course your body hurts. You just had a baby. You're a new mom. It takes getting used to. But I knew inside that something was off. My body didn't feel right. I didn't feel like it was just normal tiredness. There was something off. And at the end of the day, I finally got the diagnosis at the age of 37 because I ended up in the emergency room. I had such trouble breathing that I thought I was having a heart attack. It turned out that I wasn't having a heart attack, but I was definitely at the beginnings of having this autoimmune disease. I was in a major flare up, and stress was only compounding my symptoms. The stress of being a new mom. I had a five, well, at the time they were 5 and 2 when I was finally diagnosed. And because I constantly said yes when I really wanted to say no. The fact that I was the go to person, I was competent, I could get stuff done, I was great at checking off my list, and people could count on me. But at the end of the day, I couldn't count on me. I didn't have a self care plan. I didn't take care of myself. I was overweight. I was eating a lot of sugar and overeating compulsively because I was trying to numb the pain that I was in. The pain that I was in was in part because I wasn't being my true self. I was showing up in the world with a mask on, and I was trying to live up to everybody's expectations. I was trying to keep the house perfect, be the perfect mother, the perfect wife, the perfect daughter, and never stopped really to ask myself, what do I want? What do I need in this moment? And as I continued to abandon myself and ignore my desires, my thoughts, my needs, my feelings for years, decade after decade, it was just a huge pile up until finally the pressure cooker just overflowed. And my body said, okay, if you aren't going to take care of me, I'm going to find a way for you to listen so that you have no choice but to take care of yourself. That's when I ended up in the emergency room and finding out soon after that I had Sjogren syndrome. I had two young kids, 5 and 2, and I didn't want to be the kind of mom sitting on the couch or taking naps, or the kind of mom that couldn't get on the floor and play. If they asked me to play with them, I did it, but I wasn't fully present. I was doing it because I thought that's what a good mom should do. A good mom doesn't say, no, I don't want to sit on the floor and play Barbies. No, I don't want to, do Just Dance right now. I was too exhausted, too sick, too distracted to be present and healthy for my two kids. I knew I had to change something. If I didn't start to do something, I would get the same old results. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. If I wanted a different life, if I wanted to be a different kind of mom, I had to start changing things. So I started small. I started by going to the gym more. I started by putting my kids into the daycare at the gym in the playroom. They were having a great time playing with the other kids. I felt so guilty for making them go into this playroom so I could go and work out for 45 minutes. That's how deeply rooted the people pleasing pattern was. But I continued to put him in the gym. I continued to take breaks when I could. Said to my husband at the time, we had a pretty big home, and I was cleaning the house myself, 4 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms, and it was taking all of the energy out of me just to clean. I was bothered by the chemical smells from the cleaning products. I was super sensitive. It would give me a headache or make me dizzy and feel worse. So I remember saying to my husband 25 years ago that we needed to pay someone to clean the house. That he was really upset with me saying it's kind of like you don't have a job that you have to go to, and it's a waste of money to pay somebody to clean the house when you're here anyway and you can do it. It was really hard for me to speak up and assert my needs, that I really needed someone to help clean the house. It was too difficult for him to understand what I was feeling and how much I was struggling with my health, and that I wasn't just being a prima donna. That was really hard for me to have him not fully believe me or support me and just think I was being lazy. And as a former perfectionist, being lazy is just not in the cards. A perfectionist is a person who is generally getting things done and performing and having, the accolades and just super competent and always doing, right? Being a human doing, not a human being. That was far from the truth for me. I was definitely not lazy, and I really just needed help with cleaning the house. To have him not support that was super hard, because then I felt I was being selfish and I felt so much guilt. I felt so guilty for asking for that. Like, who was I to ask to spend money to have someone clean the house? But lo and behold, it took a lot of courage. I found the courage somewhere inside me to stand my ground on it. And we eventually got someone to clean the house. And yeah, I haven't turned back since, because at the end of the day, what I felt was, if cleaning the house was going to take all of my energy out of me, and then I would just need to take a nap and it would pull me away from any time with my kids, I didn't want it. I wasn't going to do it. I wasn't willing to sacrifice my time and energy away from the kids to clean the house. And I still feel that way to this day. It's really difficult for a people pleaser to have a self care plan, to take care of herself and put on the oxygen mask before assisting others. At the end of the day, I thought I was being nice. I thought I was being a good person by saying yes when people would ask me to do things and being the go to person. I was competent. I could get a lot of things done. But the truth is, I wasn't being generous. I wasn't being kind. I was actually just terrified. It was my nervous system that was so dysregulated because at the end of the day, what underpins all of that is fear. If someone says, Kim, can you help me with X, Y, and Z? And if, let's just say I didn't really want to. So let's say I don't want to help that person, or maybe I don't want to help that person in that moment. I would feel so wrong or bad for saying no. Like I wasn't allowed or entitled to say, no, I don't want to help you. It's like I had to say yes because the guilt was so strong. And I know for a fact that that was conditioned in me from an early age. Definitely when I was a teenager, I can remember so many times my mom would plan to have people over, maybe a cookout in the backyard for all of my aunts, uncles, and cousins. She was also a people pleaser and a martyr. She took on too much. She said yes. And she was trying to do everything for everyone. She might have done 10 or 15 things for other people prior to getting ready for the party. By the time she had to get that ready, go grocery shopping, get the food, cook the food, prepare for the house, prepare everything, she would be utterly exhausted. And then she would say, Kim, or she'd say even to my sister as well, I need you guys to help me do this. I need you to set up the table, or I need you to go and do this. And a lot of times I was a teenager, so a lot of times I didn't want to stick around or I didn't want to help. If I'm being honest, and I am going to be honest with you, I felt like, okay, you said yes, you invited all these people. This was your idea to have this party and have all these people over. It was your choice to do 10 or 15 things prior to that. You got yourself exhausted, and now you want to dump the rest of it on me, a teenager? I don't think so. And there's an expectation that because I'm her daughter, that I should help her. Like, there's absolutely no room for me being able to say, no, mom, I'm going to go out with my friends right now. Or, no, mom, I really just don't want to help. I just don't want to help. It was like that was an absolute no. So you can see where I was conditioned. And I'm sure this is the case for many of you who are listening to this podcast. If you're tuning in, you either have listened to it before, so you know what I talk about on here and you resonate with it, or you happen to just catch this title and you know that it's about not being able to say no, it's about people pleasing and just being the go to person. You've had experiences where you were the go to person for everyone, and you learned at some point that you were not allowed to say no to other people. Or if you did say no, there was horrible feedback or kickback from it. You were either maybe yelled at, or maybe even someone did tell you that you're selfish for not helping or for not doing what is being asked of you. Now, let me give this little caveat. There is absolutely nothing wrong with helping other people. And it's actually beautiful when you help others, when it comes from your heart, when it comes from a full cup, when it comes from a place of love, abundance, overflow. And when you think about it, it's almost a definite yes for you. Like, yes, I would love to take you to your doctor's appointment. Yes, I would love to bring a lasagna tonight or make you dinner because you're just getting out of the hospital. I would absolutely love to do that. I have no problem watching your kids so that you can take your mom to the hospital. If it comes from a genuine place, There's nothing wrong with that. It's beautiful. What I'm talking about is this pattern that you are in, a pattern that you have been playing out for years, maybe decades, where you feel guilt and you're terrified to say no. So you take on way more than you can handle. You're always emptying your cup because you're always the go-to person. You take care of this for your mom, and then you're doing this for your sibling, or your friends are asking for this, and then your husband wants you to do this. Your kids want this. You have to do the PTA meeting, and your boss needs this. It's like you're constantly saying yes and you're everybody's go-to person. You become overwhelmed. You are not taking care of yourself and your cup is empty. What's the problem when that happens? The problem is that you have so much stress in your life.
Hey, it's Kim here, interrupting your regularly scheduled podcast episode to let you know about an opportunity to go deeper into this work. I invite you to head over to Amazon.com and pick up your copy of my book, Free to Be: A Pathway to Inner Liberation. If you are looking to unhook from people pleasing and perfectionistic patterns, if you're looking to have a better way of identifying your patterns and then how you can unhook so you can be free to step outside your comfort zone, free to have more meaningful relationships in your life, free to be your true self without hiding behind a mask any longer. If you desire any of this, then I encourage you to pick up your copy. And if you enjoy my book as much as I loved writing it, please go on over and leave a review on Amazon. You can leave a star review or written review. Now back to your regularly scheduled podcast episode.
Because you are overwhelmed and you have too much on your plate. Underneath it, you're not being true to yourself. When you say yes to all these things, you feel like you can't say no. You feel like you don't have a choice. You feel controlled. You feel trapped. And all of that is creating more and more internal stress, more anxiety. Your body is dysregulated. Your nervous system is dysregulated. You're feeling anxious because you can't be true to yourself. All of that piled together can equal chronic illness, chronic pain, chronic symptoms or health issues, whether it be IBS, Crohn's, chronic pain, back pain, stomach issues, heart palpitations, migraines, colitis, high blood pressure. Chronic means the symptoms come and go, they wax and wane. And even if you have a diagnosis of lupus or Sjogren's or MS or scleroderma, rheumatoid arthritis, migraines, Crohn's disease, there's so many autoimmune chronic illnesses out there today. Do you ever wonder why there are so many? Like 100 years ago, 50 years ago, you didn't hear of all of these autoimmune diseases. Now, researchers say there are over 100 named autoimmune diseases in the world. That's insane, the way that is just exploding. The number of autoimmune diseases and the number of people who are chronically ill is insane. So, my point is that having these people pleasing or perfectionistic tendencies are not causing you to have these diseases. Maybe in some cases they can, but they're not a direct correlation. But what I'm saying is they certainly don't help, because when you have all of this stress going on, it can exacerbate your symptoms. It can cause a flare up. So it just makes matters worse. If you are taking care of everyone else and you're not taking care of yourself and you have a chronic illness, it only makes sense that the symptoms are just going to keep flaring up or get worse for you. And that's how it was for me. There were times when I would just get caught up in doing and feeling so much pressure on myself, putting so much pressure on myself from external expectations that other people had of me, that I would burn myself out and literally end up laying in bed, being stuck in bed because I didn't feel well. So, what I'm here to say is maybe this is more of an awareness episode for you to realize that if you are struggling with a chronic health issue, and even if you're not, but you're still identifying with everything else that I shared in this episode, you could be heading that direction. So maybe this is more of an awareness slash warning kind of thing, is that if you have these chronic health issues, that there's a really good chance that the pain and the emotional toxicity, if you will, negativity that comes from not being able to show up as your true self can make your symptoms and your situation worse. What I'm proposing is learning how to remove your masks, unhook from the patterns. Masks and patterns are interchangeable. Masks are personas that we put on in order to protect ourselves. Why do we have to protect ourselves? Because at some point we were afraid. And we learned that if we did this particular thing and we put this mask on, or we played out this particular pattern, then somehow we had this idea in our subconscious minds that we wouldn't be unsafe if we did it. So if I just learned how to say yes to everybody and I was the go to person, or I met everyone's needs and expectations and not my own, that would keep them happy. And if they were happy with me, then they wouldn't be mad with me. And if they're not mad, then they're not disapproving or they're not disappointing. And if they're not disapproving of me, then I'm in their good graces and then I'm worthy and then I matter and I'm okay and I'm safe. But that worked as a child, not as an adult. As an adult, if we keep playing out that pattern, what we are creating for ourselves is more chance of anxiety, depression, addictions, and chronic illness. So that is what I'm here to share with you and illuminate and bring light to the connection, the correlation between having a chronic health issue, whether diagnosed or just chronic health issues, and your emotional pain. And so the key is, how do you heal that emotional pain? And as I shared in the last episode, you cannot go around it. You cannot go over it or under it. You have to go through the pain in order to heal. That is what I teach in my 5-step power pathway. If you're curious about how to go through that or learn that framework, I'm more than happy to get on a call with you and see if I can guide you and if I would be a good fit and if this would be a good pathway for you. And you can do that by going to my website, kimgrosscoaching.com, and just book a call. It's a free 30-minute call. We get on and we just see if we're a good fit for each other. And then I can guide you through the process of going through the pain, healing the pain, unhooking from the patterns so that you can clear up the emotional and mental junk that's been piling up inside of you for years. As you continue to clear away crap, you will be in a place every day where you become more and more free. Your energy is more clear and you have more energy just in general, and then start feeling more vitality, more vibrancy, and your health can start to improve. and you're ready to start because you're exhausted from being everyone's go-to person. You're just so exhausted from being everyone's everything. Let me just say that you are not selfish for wanting this. It's actually imperative that you do this not only for yourself, but for those around you. You're just being human, and your body is screaming for you to stop. If you're ready for this, I document all of this in my book, Free to Be, A Pathway to Inner Liberation, and you can grab that as well. That's also a helpful tool and starting point, and you can also reach out to me. So if you're ready and you're listening to this on YouTube, I invite you to comment in the comment section freedom if you're ready to stop being everybody's favorite person, because you're not really their favorite person. You are not everyone's favorite person. You are everyone's convenient person. It's convenient for them to have you there doing everything for them. I thank you so much for listening to this episode. And if you found it to be valuable, I truly do invite you, if you found this to be helpful, one, you could share it with someone that you know that might be able to benefit from it, but also let me know in the comments section, or you can leave a review as well. I really appreciate you being here today and listening to this episode. Together, let's just one step at a time, let's take off our masks and be free to be our true selves. I'll see you in the next video.
Hey, Kim Gross here. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Masks Off for People Pleasers and Perfectionists. I invite you to hop on over to my website, kimgrosscoaching.com. Right there on the front page, there's a quiz for people pleasers and perfectionists. You can find out if you have tendencies. You can also get into my newsletter, where you will be given valuable content every week on different topics I share here in the podcast. And if you really did enjoy this episode, if you found it helpful, if you found it valuable, please go to, if you're on YouTube, go and subscribe. If you're listening on your favorite podcast platform, then I invite you to leave a review. You can even do a star review. It doesn't have to be a written review. If you know of someone who can benefit from this podcast or this particular episode, please share it with them. I'll see you next time.